it's your boy Agent Albatross here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew. We have our usual suspects of AD or Alpha Dean. We have Spigs or Anthony. And just as a quick reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us here on Twitch or subscribe to us over on YouTube. It is a huge help to our channel, and we really appreciate all the support we've gotten so far from everyone. But without further ado, Dean, what are we doing here tonight?
Well, it's October. It's the month of horrors. It's the month of darkness. It's when the veil between here and there thins and things go bump in the night. And we're here today to talk to none other than our good friends Jason Campbell and Qedhup about their latest project on the drive-thru RPG, Pinocchio, a horror classic, soon to be, as if you ask me. I mean, so let's get into it, guys. Well, first of all, guys, you want to say hello to our faithfuls out there? Everybody, if you don't know Jason, that's Jason Campbell, better known as Shadomain, has a great website that talks about all things gaming, and none other than the man himself, Qedhup, or the Canadian formerly known as Arctis, I believe it is. But not to say the least, these guys are awesome. Qedhup is a great designer, layout guy, does magnificent art. And like I said, we've had Jason on the show before. We've played a few of his games, and they're back to talk about their latest project.
Hi. You was like you want to introduce yourselves, and then you introduced them before them.
Yeah, well, introduce yourself. And by the way, they're this.
Hello. I told them to say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jason. Everywhere else on the internet, I'm Shadomain, though, because that's the name of my website, like Dean said. We mostly publish interviews and news and articles and all kinds of stuff. Once in a while, we throw F adventures out there too, which is what we were talking about today.
Yeah, the official name of the adventure is The Horrors of Pinocchio. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Qedhup, you want to introduce yourself? I think anyone that follows Cypher pretty much knows who you are.
I might be a name that you guys know from somewhere. Jason's the main man here. He's the one that I just made some pretty pictures, and then I wandered into this chat. I'm not even supposed to be here today, but I'm in here anyways. But yeah, you probably have seen me around. I've got a few videos on the system. But I'm me. I got a YouTube video. I got some books coming out. I'm working with other people. Dean here, I'm working with him on stuff too. So all of that good stuff.
So, first and foremost, welcome back to the CU. But this is more like a family chat. Yeah, we've known your guys, the both of you, for multiple years now. Your guys have been not only doing wonderful work on your own right, but active on the Cypher Unlimited server. So, it's always great to have your guys on. So this isn't going to be as formal an interview as we normally do, because this is sort of like chatting with family. In Qedhup's case, the crazy uncle. But
as long as it's not the creepy uncle, it's okay.
Yeah. But the first thing I'm going to ask, The Horrors of Pinocchio, this is a phenomenal idea, first of all, Jason. I really, really dig this. I really dig the aesthetic of the way you guys built this book. But just so we can just start off, could you tell us a little bit about this adventure without giving up too much? And what was the idea to use Pinocchio behind this? Like, where did you come up with this?
Well, let me describe it first. So it's not an adventure, it's a bunch of shorts. It's actually different mini adventures that take place in 5 different genres. So there's cyberpunk, a fantasy, steampunk, a modern, and a sci-fi, all of which star Pinocchio as the bad guy in some form or another. And it's written so that you could use it with any system, and Pinocchio is statted for Cypher and 5e. So, and statted for 5e and Cypher across 3 different tiers, levels. So
nice.
You can pretty much do whatever you want with it. So the idea was, my partner, Gamer Mom Luna, and I wanted to do something for Halloween. We're just big fans of Halloween. So this goes back, 4 or 5 months or something. But I didn't have any ideas for horror stuff. Not great ones anyway. But sort of related to, I've been talking to Andrew Kolb, who published Neverland and Oz settings for TTRPGs, and I've been running Cypher games in his Oz setting. So that's what he's done, right? He's gone back, and these things are in the public domain. Oz, Neverland, and as you could probably guess, Alice in Wonderland is next. So it's like, that's kind of cool, but what could we do with horror for that? And I don't know, through videos and books and stuff, I was like, oh, Pinocchio, that's public domain too. So let's see how we can mess him up pretty bad.
I really like that it's across multiple genres. Like, I'll be honest, I haven't gotten a chance to look at it. I've been pretty busy today. But the fact that it's a bunch of shorts and different genres, and sci-fi was one I was not expecting to hear on the list, so that's super cool. After we're done here, I'm gonna go look at the sci-fi one specifically and see what that's about. Because I'm very.
That was the idea, that you could pull this out and just throw it in as like almost like a couple of encounters in your campaign, so it wouldn't be an adventure on its own, but you don't have to set a whole night aside to play this, right? You can just grab the pieces you need and run it into your game.
The way I look at it, to me, it reminds me they're excellent seeds. They're seed to a bigger. You could do a 2-hour intro using these, or you could use it as a seed for a bigger 4-hour adventure, or even a seed for a campaign style story, depending on what direction you want it to go in. That's the way I'm looking at it. And the fact that, you have it broken down like that, I like the fact that you have it for the different settings. So
since you brought up seeds, I should mention that it's all out there in Creative Commons. So if anybody wants to take an idea and run with it and expand it, more power to you.
You mentioned Gamer Mama Luna, and so did she also work on this project, and as well as Arcus? Like, what did everyone do?
For this project, she did a little bit of writing, but she mostly is my proofreader and editor for this one.
Gotcha.
She's probably had the other she's the other half of Shadomain. Once in a while we have guest writers, but it's most of what we do is either her or me, and not both. But Qedhup, I forget which project it was a few months ago, but there was some artwork he had splashed up. Hey, look at this stuff. But I was like, that looks like the kind of stuff that I used to do, but it's way better. So we needed art, and I knew I wasn't going to have time to do writing and layout and art. I was just like, all right, let's see if I can twist his arm in a Canadian way.
So I'd like to, pose this. I mean, because you guys kind of touched on the fact that you made it kind of system agnostic, but you put information in there for 5e and Cypher. So I'll ask this question of you guys. Did you look at this through the lens of that, fairy tales and stuff like that used to be kind of dark and grim? They were more cautionary tales than they were, what modern society has turned them into. Did you guys lean into that? Or are you looking to do some more stuff in that venue?
Well, as I said, I've been running We're All Mad here in the Oz setting, so I was already kind of halfway down that road, right? Because we're already looking at really odd things, and the movie we grew up with is happy and joyous, but Frank Baum's books get out there.
Grim fairy tales, Frank Baum's. I mean, all of those old things that Disney turned into these happy-go-lucky tales are really not as happy or go-lucky. So they do fit well with the idea of doing horror. I was just wondering if you guys had, any other classics that were on the chopping block.
Since we're Cypher Unlimited, I'm gonna ask the elephant in the room, Jason.
Yeah.
Why 5e?
The idea was we would just there's another question there too. But it's just to make it more accessible. We've done that before. Last year we did a Christmas adventure, and we actually published a Cypher version and a 5e version. It's just to, everywhere I can, I'm talking about Cypher, but there are people who won't listen. So it's out there if they need it. The idea for this one was you could actually do it in any system, right? So there's a narrative description of Pinocchio, but I don't know if you want to drop this into Savage Worlds or something, you'd have to do the spec yourself. I can't spec everything. Although now that you mention it, the idea that I've started out for 5e in like sci-fi punk is I doubt anybody's going to actually use that, but it seemed like I might. Once we're halfway there, I might as well keep going.
Which did you
in case
stack
anybody's
first?
running a steampunk 5e?
Which did you stack first, the 5e or the Cypher? I'm just curious.
I think I started the 5e first because it's so much more work.
Yeah, well,
And the Cypher just rolls. So it's like, here it is.
I figured that.
Yeah, including all the goofy, like I think in the sci-fi, in the sci-fi, Pinocchio's nose grows into a drill spinning weapon. But I was just like, in Cypher, it's just like, oh yeah, that happens. There you go. Here's your stat block. You can see it in as you flip through the pages because each Pinocchio is a full page. Like 2/3 or more of that page is the 5e stat block, and then at the bottom is the Cypher. And it effectively does the same thing. It's just you don't need as many lines of text.
I can imagine that's how Qedhup saw it for the layout, right? You did the layout,
I didn't
right?
do the layout. No, all I did was the art. I didn't touch the layout on this one.
Well, Jason, you laid it out.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Okay,
right.
No, I was gonna say
Once
Qedhup
upon a
has
time,
an
I was
artist
an
credit
artist.
now.
Well, actually, he contacted me. It was, I don't know if he contacted me because of it, but I had just finished doing some commission art for Jess for Harrow the Blighted Plain. And then I don't know if that's why you contacted me, because I just finished doing like a full page, like girl with the floating crystals thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
For
great.
those that don't know, Qedhup also did the CypherCon logo.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Right.
pretty all over the place.
He just laid out my redone Mythic Body Meekum for the spell for Magic and Cipher on drive-through. So yeah, Qedhup's getting his work out there.
He also painted my living room and kitchen last weekend.
And he did the cover. And he did the cover art.
Yeah. I don't know why you made me do it topless, but yeah, I painted your kitchen.
Just be glad he didn't make you wear that French maid skirt,
Oh my god. I did want to say one thing that's actually on point, on topic. Since we were talking about the building inside, it's not even a comment. It's just a question. Excuse me. It's not even a question. It's just a comment. Just going back to something that was said earlier, which I feel like we didn't touch upon it enough, because it's very cool. The fact that you went and statted Pinocchio across, you said multiple tiers or difficulties. That's awesome because then you can take, put it into any level adventure or one shot or whatever have you. Normally in books or whatever, you see a monster and that's it. Like it's set at that, it has that one page or one level or whatever have you. So it's really nice to see a spectrum of difficulty for the same monster. So it has that versatility.
And Jason,
it's not that hard. People don't do it. It's not that.
I said, let him answer.
Say it's not that hard. Everybody should do it, right? You have one description, and it follows through to all the levels, and all you're doing is changing how much damage this does or how much health this has.
I would like to make a correction. It's not that hard for Cypher.
Right, for Cypher. It gets pretty messy. Like
5e.
I upgrade armor class and does he have legendary? Oh, forget it.
I mean, all you guys are experienced Cypher GMs, and I guess for chat as well. This is a question for everybody. And since Al mentioned it, what is your thought process when you either tiering up or creating tier 6 creatures or baddies, NPCs or whatnot? Is it a different mindset? because I think that's a question that comes up for a lot of new GMs that are hitting the higher tiers. So maybe we could talk about that.
In this case, I should say the Pinocchio, the bad guy, you divided, if you divide 5e into 4 tiers or however that bitches up Cypher, I probably only hit the first 3. So I didn't get that far because for me, when you're looking at, tier 6 Cypher characters, you got to do something out of the box. You just increasing damage or something like that is not going to be difficult. So then I think you have to go, when he hits you with his spinning drill, you like it goes down the damage track. You have to do something beyond the normal. You can't just bump the numbers up. At least for me, I don't. What do you think, Qedhup?
For me, I don't know. It's just because I always do crazy stuff with my players tier 1 through 6. I always have like multiple interesting abilities, and I'm glad old Gus is on the same page as he's helping me design Void Home, because we have like multiple GMIs in each stat block, multiple unique abilities, and it's kind of, we like to make it I'm tired of like boring monsters from other systems I don't need to rag on right now, but I like something interesting, something unique in each one. And honestly, whether they're tier 1 or tier 6, like at tier 6, like maybe I'll throw a little extras and maybe it'll be a bit higher of a level creature sometimes, unless I want them to have a good win. But for the most part, I kind of run my creatures the same-ish as far as complexity is concerned all the way through, because I just want it to be unique and interesting. Yeah.
I think I agree with Jason. When I'm like fiddling around with tier 6 creatures, I tend not to look at the numbers, but more the actual mechanics that I could play around with. I love the concept of messing around with the damage track. So as opposed to you instead of doing 12 points of damage, this knocks you down the damage track on one hit. And I like combining abilities, if that makes any sense. Like taking 2 abilities that aren't traditional, could be a character ability, and coming up with a creative use to have those 2 abilities combined on. Because I think the number aspect is kind of boring.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dean.
I was just saying, I'm kind of like a combination of both Kid and Jason. Because we've all played D&D for so long, or any game like that, everybody knows, oh look, that's a gnoll, I know exactly what the gnoll's gonna do, or that's a goblin, I know what they're gonna do. I like to mix it up. I like to give my characters turning goblins into skirmishers, where they're using the terrain and stuff like that against you, and then as you go up in tiers, of course they become more intelligent, or they become more capable. So again, it's like you said, giving them something that might move you down the damage track, or something like that. But I love combining combinations of ideas simultaneously, because you should have a unique experience, and that's what I'm saying is, especially if we're playing characters that are just starting out. Then you wouldn't know what a goblin is, or you're saying you wouldn't know what gnolls do if all you ever encountered is goblins. So you can have these unique aspects to your creations. So I like doing that. I think that's the saving grace of Cypher.
And I would like to say, don't be afraid to use your GMIs for more than just situational environmental happenstances and stuff. Like I've had like special encounters where they open up with what in another game may be a special or legendary action as a GMI, doing this special move that they're only able to do because of it, to make it special. Like don't be afraid to use them. They're going to burn the experience probably shortly afterwards as they panic. So
I've been playing around with the Cenobites, trying to figure out ways because I want to work it on the one shot, and I like the concept of individual characters having horror mode attached to them. So like horror mode only affects like I'm trying to give each Cenobite a individual ability, and I have this one that horror mode is basically attached to it. So if they encounter this one creature, it immediately goes into horror mode. And I this messing around with mechanics. And Cypher makes it so easy to do.
Right, because you're not changing anything. You're just applying it in a different way, which I think makes it work really cool.
Yeah, I love doing just going off the board, off the rails, whatever. Like I was saying, okay, well, maybe this guy will take you down the damage track. Well, that's been done before. What if when this guy hits you, you lose a recovery roll? Just something that the players are like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah, I saw there was a part of it. Oh, go ahead, Dean.
No,
I saw it. Go ahead, Dean.
No.
I saw that there's a really cool artifact. I forgot what book it's from, but it takes away your levels of effort every time you use it. It's like a cursed item, and that's another cool thing to add on to a high level. Instead of doing damage, it absorbs your effort.
Right. It just reminds me of old school D&D when we used to play, right? Specters and vampires would take levels off of your PC.
Oh, yeah,
I hated de-leveling.
And here's the thing. I mean, and like I've even done stuff like that where it was, it's a temporary thing where you just have to spend XP to get abilities back. Because I was doing the same thing. I have a Wraith in one of the games I was running in a fantasy game, and that's what the Wraith did. He would take the character's special abilities. So like we had a wizard, an adept in the group, and he took the adept's onslaught ability and was using it against them. Nice. So the adept had to spend XP to recover it. It was a lot of fun. It's just like little stuff, like you said, different ways of approaching the same thing, and Cypher allows you to do it because Cypher is cinematic, so it's really yes and.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just cinematic. I'd like to say, like, I've got an engineering background, so modularity is something they always slammed into our brains for engineering. Is the more modular you can make something, the more you don't have to worry about the entire thing breaking down, the more you can adjust it and everything like that. And games like Cypher, it's all about modularity. It's all about, like, as I say, like building your little Lego house out of the bricks that you want, and it'll look different, but it has the same foundation, and it's great.
Yeah, agreed.
And the thing about Cypher that we couldn't do in many other games, like we're just riffing on different ideas to make a monster scary, right? But like if Dean hadn't prepped his Wraith, he could literally have just made it up in the time he I think he takes away your XP. You couldn't do that. And
right. You would have an argument if you tried to do that in D&D. What are you talking about? The rules say right here.
And this is a little secret that all Cypher GMs know. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
Every session.
It takes you like the sip of your coffee to make up another creature with a unique ability.
We were playing GM roulette. Al was using his car as a weapon. He kept dropping the car on top of my dreadnought. I was like, okay, I got a GMI because I didn't have to. It was supposed to be this big bad. He's just dropping a car on and doing like 8 points of damage every round. So I'm like, I got a GMI. They accepted it. You know what? The dreadnought split into a horde of smaller attacks, so he couldn't just drop it on one and kill him. But I couldn't have done that in D&D. In D&D, he would have just basically abused my monster, and I would have been able to do anything about it. Cypher system adjusts right on the fly. So, I agree.
Absolute fair point. You guys done Pinocchio? I mean, Jason, you've done Pinocchio, which is like a cautionary fable. Are you thinking about touching any of the other, fables and tales that we might know of if we want to revisit this experiment?
I mean, when I first started doing Pinocchio and I grafted onto it, I was like, well, there's more out there, but I kind of thought of this as a Halloween thing. So I might do that, but probably not until next summer for next Halloween. I don't know. I mean, I
would like to see you tackle Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Isn't that Creative Commons as well?
Most of the classics are public domain. But somebody
that was
to kill that.
That was mid 1800s. It might be a good time to do that though, because Guillermo del Toro next spring is about to release his movies.
W. Godfrey 34. I'm sorry, W. Godfrey 34 had made mention about Winnie the Pooh, which is yes, I think Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah,
is
they
the
just did
public
that.
domain, and they just actually put out a horror movie,
Yeah,
horror
did
Winnie
you
the Pooh
see it?
movie. It's
Did you see
garbage,
it?
but it's terrible. But it's actually, but the premise is pretty cool. The
My
premise is
It's funny
problem with
that
the Winnie the Pooh movie is that it freaking doesn't look like Winnie the Pooh. I wanted Winnie the Pooh to look like Winnie the Pooh.
you want Winnie to look like Winnie and and Piglet, but
Yeah. It
without
looked like,
going off onto a stream, the story of Winnie the Pooh is in the public domain, but the Disney characters are not. So you can't make your Pooh look like them because that can be trademarked.
Yeah.
The story being copyrighted.
right.
but it looked like I'm a big horror fan, and it looked like the pig from Hotel Hell. I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie. So it didn't really look like Winnie.
look like
Like they didn't have to make it look like the Disney, but they could have gave it a more of a whimsical feel. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's way off topic, but
Somebody said it looked like Winnie the Pooh met Cocaine Bear off screen.
Nice. I like
W.
it.
Godfrey 34. That was good.
Yeah, so it
But-
was interesting when he approached me for the art because he just gave me like some writing prompts and he's just like, make it with this. He was using me almost like he'd use an AI prompt at that point. He's like, here's a sentence, make me a picture. And most of them, I right away, I was like, all right, I got some ideas and whatnot. But the were donkey was the one I was like, I don't know. That took me a hot second.
Did you ever see the movie Thank You for Calling or something like that?
No.
They actually have equine people in it. Oh, what's it called? I'll tell you. Go ahead, keep talking, guys. I'll find it.
I was just going to say of the illustrations he gave, because that's Qedhup's right. That's exactly what I did. I gave him, I don't know, free reign, I guess, right? But the one that surprised me the most was the modern era. The modern story is like Pinocchio is this like spy, rogue on the docks. He's trading in information. So if I had drawn this, and this is why it's always great to have somebody else working with you, right? If I had drawn this, it would have been just like a guy with the scally cap and just hanging out against a brick wall. He came back with this amazing thing. I was like, no, yeah, that's right. That's way better than I was going to do. So it worked out really well.
have you played all the scenarios?
No.
Tried to play them out.
I mean, yeah, so here's my advice. Playtest everything as much as you can. 5 scenarios in 2 different systems at 3 different levels. I'd still be playtesting it. So, yeah. I don't have a big enough playtest team for that. But, yeah.
I definitely know
Well,
that
let's-
feel because
yeah.
if I ever release anything, it's gonna be like this was not play tested. Like I'm literally gonna be on the cover.
About that, but as Qedhup said, this is entirely modular, right? So it would have been like I could sit my friends down for 4 hours, but then they're gonna fight Pinocchio like 18 times, to play test everything. It would have been it was a tough challenge. That reminds me of one of the first ones I did was Hint, that game that's based on it's a one shot that's based on a classic murder mystery board game.
Yes, we know
That I would not have been able to get to the publishing point without the CU, because that was what I ended up with was so far from what I started out with. That play testing with all the people on the server like really beat that one into shape.
And if you also want to check that, we did an actual play with Jason here on Cypher Unlimited. Go on our YouTube channel and pick it up. We watch it. We had a blast playing it.
I gotta say, from a dev standpoint, from someone that's helped make books and is working on a pretty large project right now, don't get married to your original design. Feel free to change it. My current project is so different from how it started, and that's great. That is okay.
Speaking of your current project, you want to talk a little bit about it? I know there's a lot of excitement on the server. There's some actual play tests going on there. You want to give us a little heads up on how Void Home is heading?
Yeah, I think so. A fair amount of people have been starting to talk about it. I'm trying to get some interest going on there. Void Home is a hard sci-fi horror. Got a little bit of a post-apoc Western tilt to it, but mostly like hard sci-fi horror. So you're not getting like super crazy superpowers or anything. Travel is no faster than light, fancy Star Trek travel or anything like that. It's more like smushed together like Aliens plus The Expanse plus like Event Horizon, and there you go. That's kind of what you're going to be in. Old Gus is helping me with it, and it's more than just a setting for Cypher. It's still compatible with Cypher, but we have tinkered a lot. There's some things about the system we wanted to just sort of reorganize or do a bit differently, and so it is still, you can still bring a character from another Cypher system. It may need one or two adjustments, but you can still bring it from another part of the Cypher system in, and vice versa. But it's tinkered, and then there's all new types and foci and everything. It's going to be a deal. It's going to be a pretty big project. I'm trying to cut pages out right now, actually, so that I don't get a Tolus level book on my hands.
I'm excited to see
I was
because
gonna ask you.
that you've shown looks super awesome. I'm excited to get my hands on that.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I've been in some of your, YouTube like live dev sessions. It sounds like you must be around 400 pages.
It's not small. It's not. We're trying. I'm gonna have to split it up. It's too big right now. For especially if I'm gonna be doing like print on demand through drive-through and stuff, I'm gonna have to split it up or something, because it's too big at the moment. So we'll see. Old Gus has really been helping me a lot with it, and then we've got a lot of interesting bits to it. That's for sure. I'll be doing. I'm starting combat. Well, we don't call it combat. We call it conflicts. I'm starting conflict play tests to test that, the initiative free system, and the new dread mechanics and everything fairly soon. So I'll probably drag you guys or some of you guys or whatever into trying it out soon.
Also, if you want more information on it, just head up to the Qedhup YouTube channel. I know he has several videos discussing it. Or visit his Twitch stream. Oh, you stream on Twitch still, or you stream on YouTube now?
I stream pretty much exclusively on YouTube. Yeah, I might start multi-streaming at some point, but YouTube's kind of my home at the moment.
Yeah, so definitely check out the Qedhup. If you want to know pretty much anything about Cypher System, and your tutorial videos are awesome as well, definitely check out Qedhup's channel. It's a great resource.
Absolutely. And
I mean,
links are there.
so we'll come to your house with a bat if you don't.
I shouldn't have given you my address.
Yeah, no, because I know where you are.
Yeah, I fed you pizza.
So, to go back to the Horrors of Pinocchio, right? Did you ever contemplate just writing out a full adventure, or was this always the plan?
This was always the plan. I don't remember why. But I think it was, you know what? The idea that we could write shorts in like in multiple scenarios was actually in my head before Pinocchio came up. And I've been toying with that for a year, 2 years, I don't know. Like I said, we published an adventure last Christmas for multiple systems. And at that time I was like, I could do this all in one. I don't have to publish separate books. Although I don't think anybody's going to actually play it in 5e like we talked about, but
there are a couple of games that it could work for, because that one with the airships is very, very steampunkish, so that could work.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you'll get more people trying it in 5e than you will in Cypher. Not because it isn't interesting in Cypher, it's just that the 5e audience is like humongous.
That's probably true on drive-through. Although some of my other stuff, I think, has sold to Cypher on drive-through because not that much out there, right? There's not that much indie stuff. There is, but not compared to 5e, where it's in an ocean of.
It's
anyway.
this
Yeah,
the
the cross
cypher
genre
community
thing.
is very supportive. Like
Yeah,
if
the
the
cyber. Yeah, the cyber
Okay.
community is awesome.
they're very supportive. So if anyone like posts something or people are gonna try it and look at it because it's sort of like, oh, this is my friend. I'm gonna look at this stuff. And with 5e, there's a million people producing content. So the
Yeah.
community isn't as close connected as not only the CU, just Cypher system
Most
players.
in general.
Yeah.
Steelheart Dragon in the chat said, would you ever go back to do a more full exploration of the setting of some of the adventures?
For Pinocchio, yeah, I wouldn't discount it. I would probably have to pick a tier and concentrate on that because it's hard. It's hard to develop. Well, maybe not. I haven't thought about which one's my favorite yet because they're all my babies. But I guess yeah, maybe I will pick one and keep going with it.
I'm gonna say it is.
Some,
Oh, I'm sorry. There you're done.
oh, I was just gonna say I wasn't planning on expanding this. I had other bigger ideas, but I don't know. Maybe I should just stick with this and expand it.
I will say it is difficult running or writing for both a 5e adventure and a Cypher adventure because of how differently they're written. When I was doing the Isle of Dreaded Accursed for Mr. Tarask and doing the rewrite for him and the editing and everything, it's so very different because like in D&D, like there was a lot of like you go up to a door, roll your perception check. Okay, great. Now roll your again for traps. All right. Now roll a third time to see if you can unlock the door. Okay, great. Now here's a fourth roll in case you need to force the door. None of that is in Cypher. You don't need like 16 rolls to get through a door in Cypher. So yeah, you almost have to do rewrites of sections of it if you're going to do like a Cypher and a 5e thing.
I mean,
we did a lot of that.
More with sidebars for GM intrusion ideas, you know.
But see, and I tell you, writing, just from experience, writing for Cypher is truly more like writing a narrative. It's like writing a story because you're literally just setting up the story beats. You're setting up the scenario, but you're not but because there's no need to have all these mechanical aspects to resolve whatever the conflict, situation, action, whatever. There's not 17 different, mechanics to figure it out. So that's what, I think that's what it's saying. Where if you read most Cypher adventures, there's a lot of descriptor. There's a lot of description going on versus mechanical talk. Gamifying.
I think if I were to do a Cypher adventure from scratch, which I haven't actually tackled yet, I've just done a lot of things for other people. Honestly, for me, instead of whole like the detailed description you have to read out loud, and then here are the following checks you need, honestly, my adventure would probably be a lot shorter because it would just be like a list of plot points and things that you can like riff off of, and like maybe a few extra little sidebar stats and like some extra options and stuff. But Cypher is so good at just letting you just kind of like organically evolve off of the notes that you have, that having a solid structure, I find, actually hinders you in doing Cypher stuff.
I mean, this is a perfect time for me to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say that's why I think this fits better into Cypher than 5e, because if you looked at the way it's written, it would say things like, if the heroes the heroes can investigate over here and find this, or the heroes see this. It doesn't tell you, like you said, it doesn't tell you if you make this DC roll. It gives you the idea, with the idea that the Cypher GM will just know what to do with that. We'll roll it and sort of improv. I'm going to stereotype here and say that Cypher GMs are better at that than 5e, where a lot of D&D GMs expect handheld, right?
Yeah.
They want everything spelled out for them.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody, right? Most of us here have been around forever, and if you've been GMing that long, you could do it no matter what system you're doing. But generally speaking, yeah, I could get away with with a general description and expect the GM to run with it.
Yeah.
And that's probably not going to happen with a lot of people running Pathfinder. It just
Well, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. You know, when you look at D&D, and even what people were saying in the chat, you know, it's kind of like that. It's a role for everything has been gamified. You know, it's the dice determining what happens next, or your response or your reaction, and so on and so forth. Where, you know, Cypher or Powered by the Apocalypse or whatever, you're really deciding the action as a whole. The dice are just determining, you know, the dice are just the final determinant on how well you succeed or fail, you know.
There's nothing wrong with that. I will like to say, like, I won't yuck someone's yum if they want that. I was literally in a Pathfinder game an hour ago. So
Yeah,
I'm still willing to play that stuff.
I was just about to say the same thing too. I don't think it's necessarily, I mean, the system does play a major part in how the narrative is told through the, you know, as the GM. But I'm a firm believer that a narrative GM is going to take any system and form it into a narrative, a cohesive narrative. Matthew Mercer is the perfect example.
I agree, but but the reality is, some games, in order to do that, you have to either hand wave, house rule it, manipulate it, change it, whatever the case may be. Like you're talking about Matt Mercer. You know, there's a lot of things that Matt Mercer just throws out the window in order to play the game, so it becomes this immersive experience.
Yeah, but don't you do it with every system anyway? Like,
well, yeah, but
like,
you get all the rules.
Cypher that applies to Power and Apocalypse, that applies to Fate.
No. I'm saying I agree, but I'm saying if you think about it, the narrative people who are in the narrative games have no problem doing it. It's the people who, you know, and I'm not being funny or anything, but the people who play 4E and 5E who, you know, kind of embrace that first. That's how they think the games are supposed to go. Not saying it's a wrong thing, not saying that they're wrong. You know, that's just what they embraced or what they got a first taste of. And so it's different in that respect.
Let me just go back to this one question, because Qedhup made me think about it when he was talking about published adventures. And I think this is a good question for the four of y'all as well, right? Is what do you look for personally in a published adventure? Not necessarily as a writer, but as a consumer of the product. Is there, like, do you have a specific thing you go, okay, this is a good adventure?
I mean, I've got an easy answer for me, actually. When it comes to published adventures, what I look for is I don't. Sorry, I suck at pre-published adventures. I go so far off book. At that point, I'm like, I don't know why I have a book. That's why I prefer things like what he just did, or what Underground Oracle does and whatnot, with like the little like shorts and stuff, because at least that I can keep in my brain before I get like offbeat and forget what I was doing. As for like full adventures or like Pathfinder adventure paths, I have a hard time because I forget what I'm supposed to be doing in the book, and I improv with the players. Next thing I know, we're in another dimension full of fluffy animal people, and I don't remember what we were doing.
I have a peeve about published adventure, and right now I had to reread all the adventures for GameholeCon. So I what you call it, I've been in, and I agree, I'm not a published adventure guy, but for cons, you know, you have to run the MCG adventures. You know what's my pet peeve about published adventures? If I'm purchasing an adventure, I don't want all the creatures or baddies to be something that I could get out of the monster manual. Like, maybe that's my personal pet peeve, but I want some original creatures or spells or something that I can't get from the core book or whatever rule set I'm using. That's just my personal pet peeve.
You know what's completely hilarious, Anthony? Well, I did not realize that was my problem, and ended up what happening with every published adventure I've ever bought. I always ad-libbed the encounters, because the encounter, like you said, if the monsters and, you know, the equipment and stuff, and it's crazy that you even brought it up, because I'm just thinking about the stuff that, you know, I just wrote for Here Be Dragons, the adventures, I added stuff that's not in the core books. You know, there's no in both adventures that I wrote. There's two things in those books, or more than that. Actually, it's quite a few things that are not in the core rules, and I never realized that that's what it is. Because you know what? That's what my big argument when I say about monsters and like why I like Cypher stat blocks, because you can change it. Because you know everybody reads the monster manual, because guess what? It's cool. We know that monster manual is great, and I don't mind read it. Okay, you see it's a dragon, but do you know what this dragon can do? No. You know, so yeah, I'm with you. Al,
I should say so you got, I mean, I've been here a long time. You guys know Scythe's my favorite game, but I still actually run a lot of 5e. It's just where the players are. But and my general so I don't have anything against it or Pathfinder or any of these games. It's more like, and like Spig said, there's I think games, a lot of games are good at one thing. Doesn't mean you can't do the other thing, though, right? Like as soon as I say, well, Cypher's a more narrative game than D&D, I'm going to get people saying, well, you can run a narrative game, which is true, but that's not what D&D is good at. And you know, there are things that Cypher isn't good at that other games are better at. But anyway, earlier Qedhup was saying that in some of these games the monsters are boring. I got to say, when I run 5e, and here's some Monty Cook fanboy, when I run 5e, I almost exclusively use the Planar Bestiary and Beast of Flesh and Steel, because those monsters are awesome. and it scares the crap out of the players. They're like, what the hell is that?
Good stuff.
What about you, Al?
No, I was gonna say, I was gonna piggyback off what Anthony was saying, because that's a super valid point. And again, y'all all know, especially if you've come to the channel a lot, but I know you guys specifically know, I'm not a pre-written adventure guy. I make up basically everything. So I didn't think about the fact that these adventures can include new content for, you know, you to use, like a new monster, new items, new focus, new something, right? There can be things included in these adventures that, you know, add a little oomph, so to speak. And I would, if again, now that it's in my mind, if I'm looking at pre-written adventures and stuff, I want to see more of that. Yeah, that's definitely a super valid point. And another thing was, how Qedhup described how he would go about writing an adventure was like a couple plot points and like the sidebar with some little info. That's probably the kind of pre-written adventure I would be aiming for to get. Because again, like he said, I couldn't follow like an overarching, like detailed story, because my players are gonna take that and go sideways with it, and we're gonna forget about whatever was written in the book anyway. So like, yeah.
Hold on a sec. Chat's talking about like just the adventure, what Qedhup said. I'm gonna just flat out say it. Pre-written adventures are a guideline. They're not to be followed verbatim.
Well, no, that's what I was gonna say. If
what Qedhup does is what you're supposed to do, or at least that's what I expect when I sit at the table. Because if we're gonna follow the adventure verbatim, then I could have just read the adventure. I want Qedhup's version of the pre-written adventure. I want Jason's version of the pre-written adventure. I don't. I would have just read the book.
But here's the cool thing. If you really think about it, if you look at most of the stuff that MCG puts out, they literally do that for you at the beginning. There's a basic breakdown synopsis of what's going on. If you read that, you can run the adventure. It may not be, and then they fill in the blanks for those who need the blanks filled in. Because like, leave those ghosts alone. You've read it. Dude, trust me, I ran adventure probably 6 times at Gen Con. And it was a different adventure every single time. I added stuff. I took stuff away. I plugged stuff.
No, that's the Old Gods of Appalachia adventure in this year's MCG's convention circuit. Sorry, I was just.
I should have clarified it, but I'm just saying that particular adventure. But if you read the first page, It literally is the synopsis. It tells you the major points. Hey, we got some friends who got back together. There was a this and there was a that, and it was this, and this. And then you, as a GM, if you didn't want to read another page, you didn't have to. The fact of the matter is, and that's what I'm saying, though, the one thing I like about what MCG does is what theirs is when you do read them, if you read them from cover to cover, even though you have that basic starting point, you get a lot of inspiration from what they put in. And you can run whatever you want. So I agree 1000% with everything everybody is saying, because I am definitely of the school of creating my own and being inspired by what's in front of me, you know, because I'm really digging I'm telling you, we got to talk after the show, Jason. I got an idea for you.
I own, I don't know, God knows how many, right? Tons of pre-written stuff. Most of it I've never run. But reading pre-written stuff, if you're looking to publish, reading pre-written stuff has made me a much better writer. And that's true even if it's good or bad, because sometimes I read stuff and go, this doesn't make any sense, or this is really way too linear, right? And then the next time I write, I'm like, let me make sure I don't do that. So I like to read stuff, especially from certain authors, even if I'm not going to actually run it.
Yeah, I love to
really
read
to do that.
For sure.
Yeah, they especially the D&D pre-written adventures, those books. I own every D&D 5e adventure that was made, from Wizards to the Coast. The only one I've ever ran was Horde of the Dragon Queen, like that. But I read them all because I like, whether it's something I will be interested in running. I like it's like what Jason said. It gives me a better understanding on how to lay out a story, lay out a plot.
Oh yeah.
Watch out for those early ones, because there's some of them were a mess.
Well, you know what's funny with the earlier ones? The earlier ones are perfect. Me and Anthony have converted a few of them. Those are perfect to convert or not to adapt to Cypher, because literally all they are a series of combats with this little blurb of what's supposed to go on in this room. So you got oh, wait a minute, I got a name and I got a dude. Okay, adventure time.
Yeah, I'm currently running Keeper of the Borderlands, and it's like what Dean said. It's just combat after combat. So it just leaves it open for you to add all the narrative and all the story plot elements.
It's like my favorite series is of the old school is the Demon Web Pits, the Caverns of Socaneth. Those are like my all-time favorites, and I've actually turned those over into Cypher Adventures and also Dark Sun stuff. It's so easy.
Did the White Plume Mountain last year.
Oh, White Plume Mountain.
Nice.
But I flipped it. It was because that's what I do, right? I'm a goof. So it was White Prune Mountain, and every trap was. So there's that whole section on White Plume Mountain. Spoiler alert, where it's water. I was like, well, what's different about that? So I made it like a sand pit, and it was just everything was exactly the opposite. Not exactly, but yeah. There's a lot. That one's amazing. I think it's the original was 16 pages. I can't get through it in 4 hours. It's wow. Okay. Right. As a Cypher adventure, it's really cool. Just don't let him get out the door with Black.
I haven't played White Plume Mountain in 30 years.
I think the last old school adventure I ran for my players is Paladin in Hell, and they all died horribly. So,
when was the last time you had a TPK? That was the last time you had a TPK?
That probably would be it. Yeah, I've never had a TPK in Cypher, but in other systems, yeah, I think that would be it.
I've gotten close to a TPK in Cypher. Close.
I've had
one character.
I had one. My zombie game ended in a TPK. God doesn't love us anymore, but that was kind of the point. So that's really doesn't count.
Remember, I told you I didn't care if I died.
TPK in Cypher either.
Remember, I told you I didn't care if I died. I just had to go out and blaze the glory.
Does it count as a TPK if it's one player? Because I had a single player die at the end of his one shot. It was it was appropriate though. It was Dead Space, like a Dead Space ish game. So it was a hard dungeon crawl basically.
It does it's a total person kill.
Yeah.
We got a question.
Pook, you mentioned you wanted to play or run a game in Cypher. Join Cypher Unlimited. What are you doing? There's all sorts of people there doing games.
Jason, have you ever had a TPK in Cypher?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Not in Cypher.
Would you guys ever do a meat grinder in Cypher? I know this is really old topic.
I have talked with Al about stuff like this before.
Look, Al's darkest dungeon would basically be a meat grinder if he just let it go. It would be a meat grinder.
Yeah.
But we got a question from the audience. Still Hard Dragon said, "What's your favorite fairy tale and short would you do to ever a tabletop inspired adventure?" Okay, so basically, what fairy tale is your favorite, and what would you or short that you would be inspired to do an adventure or fairy tale on?
Oh, fairy tale.
I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite fairy tale, but I think Hansel and Gretel's tailor made to be a Cypher one-shot.
Yeah.
That's so easy to do.
A pretty good one might be the well, it would maybe more than this, but Three Little Piggies, where they have to like work together to like stop the wolf. Well, that would be pretty cool.
I just rewatched Cocaine Bear the other day, so maybe Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
What I would do actually, I would think that a fun one to do, especially for the party, would be Beauty and the Beast. You know, I think that would be a lot of fun. You know, because you could have the big bad monster, but kind of ill-defined, and maybe they're trying to get through his place to get to her. I could see some.
You could play all the transformed
RPG based in the Beauty and the Beast universe. I'm pretty sure there is one. I don't know the name. There's an indie RPG. I don't know if it's based in the story, but it's based in the universe.
Let me see. You're talking about from the TV show or from or the
no,
original?
The fairy tale, yeah, the story. I'm not sure if it's based on the story. I think it's based in the universe.
I think I would go with Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, nice.
When I saw the Disney version, that witch who changed into a dragon scared the crap out of me.
Oh, that's yeah. That is actually awesome. Yeah, she's a high level.
Yeah, she's well, I guess she's not really a witch. She's an evil fairy, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Oh, so then we had 5 different answers. That's been pretty cool. Now combine them into one meat grinder, guy.
All right, I got it. We're gonna start off. You know.
I mean, this has been a phenomenal chat. You know, you guys know how we feel about the both of you. We love the both of you guys. First, we'll do Jason first. Where can we find the Horrors of Pinocchio and your other work?
Okay, so everything I do is at shadomain.com, ShadoMain. You can get Pinocchio on drive-through, but that's mostly for people who like to go through drive-through. If you go through our website to our store, that's our Ko-fi store, it's actually $1 cheaper because drive-through is not, you know the story. Yeah, so you can get it there. The other thing is at our Ko-fi store, like once a month, at least, sometimes more often, we dump something for free. So there's most of our store is like a free NPC, a free spell, a free, sometimes really ridiculously goofy games, just like one-page games. So there's a lot of stuff on it that you can just go up and grab.
Would you also like to plug Game Mama Luna's Your Partner's channel as well for all?
Yeah, so Gamer Mom Luna is my co-writer, but what she's known for is hosting the show Tales from the Tavern on the first Sunday of every month on the Gamer Mom Luna Twitch channel, and it's really wild. It's first Sunday of every month, 8 to 10 Eastern. Her and 5 guests, which rotate completely every time, and all the questions come from chat. So just you can go in there and I don't know, ask the stupidest questions you want or serious questions, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
To be on the show, it was really good. I can tell people that it is a really good show. Go check it out.
Right. I did say I was going to be at PAX U. That's because Luna got her show pitched as a panel, got it accepted. So we're doing it live at PAX Saturday night.
that's awesome.
Yeah, except I think we're up against Mercer, so we'll kick his ass.
But first of all, just go check out Game On's show. I'm always on chatting away, and it's a fantastic show. It's definitely worth watching. And go check out Shadomain's site. They interview people. He gives great GMing advice, great gaming advice. He produces content. I read everything he writes, and he's highly talented and a great person, through and through. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks.
Qedhup.
All right. Well, you can find my OnlyFans at I tried to make one. It was just going to be my face photoshopped on the bodies of bears, and they said no, and it got shut down. So that didn't work. But yeah, I think they linked my link tree in there. You can mostly find me at my YouTube though, youtube.com/Qedhup, QEDHUP, Quad Erat Demonstratum, Heisenberg's Uncertainty Principle. And you can find me there as I do videos on all sorts of RPGs, although I would say probably a good chunk of them are about the Cypher system because I like the Cypher system, but I like other ones too as well. And I do the basics videos, which, Monica Games is sharing all the time. Thank you, Monica Games. You guys are always awesome. And I've been doing a bunch of layout projects and art projects and editing projects and writing projects and everything for people lately, including several people in here. So that's been super fun. You can contact me if you need help with stuff, although I'm super busy these days. So yeah. And yeah, I just make cool stuff, mostly about Cypher, but about a lot of stuff.
I mean, we always say, go check out Qedhup's channel. He's freaking awesome. Like all his content. And both of these guys are on the Cypher Unlimited Discord server. You can chat with them there as well.
For sure.
So, guys, it was a great talk tonight. Really appreciate everybody coming out. Before we get out of here, Anthony, I know you got a few things to say to the public before we get going, but Al, you got anything to say before we let Anthony loose?
No, thank you everybody for coming.
And I want
before I do my spiel, I just want to say GameoCon runs the 18th to the 22nd next week in Madison, Wisconsin. I will be there. If you want to play Cypher System, come say hi. MCG has an entire floor dedicated to all things MCG. I'll be there giving away CypherCon shirts. So if you see me and say hi, you might get a CypherCon shirt. Nice. And you like us and you like what we do, join the Cypher Unlimited Discord server for all things Monica Games. We have the largest fan-run Discord server for everything MCG. We hit over 6,000 members and growing. So please head on over there. And if you want to learn the Cypher system or play games, join that server. If Discord's not for you, join our Facebook group. It's not as big as our Discord, but there's still great conversations being had. Or give us a follow or subscribe here on Twitch, or go to our YouTube channel and like, share, and subscribe there. We're still trying to build these two platforms up, and any support will be greatly appreciated. Our videos are always free, but if you want to help us out financially in any way, please consider giving us a little donation on Ko-fi. That little generosity helps us out a great deal. It helps us out with buying T-shirts to give away at conventions. So we really appreciate that. And last but not least, I love the kitty. Last but not least, we love you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping by. And again, just to say it one more time, be sure to check out the Horrors of Pinocchio. The link is in the chat and will be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And be sure to check out Shadomain's main site for all his other works, as well as Qedhup's link tree to check out all his stuff as well. All that will be down below. And yeah, as usual, from us at the CU, we will see you later.